This video is for educational and informational purposes only. The content is based on personal experiences and is not medical advice. Always consult a qualified healthcare professional for personalized medical guidance.
So many things you can do with ivermectin so you can make it more bioavailable.
I've seen people do like I do with my Fenbendazole.
Did you say, Kimberly, that the new standard is actually below 2.0?
It actually doesn't show therapeutic ketosis until you're below 2.9.
Yeah.
I am not going to not take my supplement just because my GKI isn't below 2.
The mosquito type of cancers, the ones that proliferate fast, those are easy to kill. The ones that are harder to kill are the stem cell cancers. When I asked my oncologist, the answer is not so clear. Most of the pro-oxidant alternative treatments do that. So that's where we have to concentrate repeated action on those things.
You should still be on a low-carb diet. You should be still be trying to cycle in and out of states of ketosis. 72 hours seems to be about the maximum benefit for autophagy and the creation of new healthy stem cells.
Well, first I started with Fenbendazole, and that kept my 3.1 centimeter lung cancer. It got smaller to 3. So I said to myself, this is pretty good. So I talked to a doctor who knew about all the antiparasiticals. So he said, you got to try everything. You got to hit it with all the antiparasiticals. Ricin oil. You know, Joe Tippins used that too. But that's something that I don't hear a lot in our community.
Typically, if I don't get my exercise done between 11 a.m. and 1 p.m., I will do something a little less strenuous. So if I'm going to weight lift or do any intense cardio, I try to do that in the earlier part of the day. It just gets my brain, and it's not my body. My body will be tired and ready to go to sleep. It's my brain. I've also noticed that for me, I need to be in ketosis in the earlier part of the day. My blood sugar can be very low in the upper 50s, 60s, 70s all day long. And my ketones can be high. But the time I'm ready to go to sleep, my body does not feel safe sleeping with my blood sugar that low. It took me a little bit of, and I don't know why that is. So even though I do eat mostly animal-based, if I am going to have carbs, I try to make sure I have them in the latter part of the day. I don't want my blood sugar to get over 100, but if it's too low and my ketones are too high sleeping, it makes me almost violently ill.
Hi, John.
Hey, John, how are you?
Hi, Kimberly. Hi, Bernardo.
Did you have a good week?
It was a tough week.
Anything in particular you want to share?
Oh, there's a lot. I'm actually, so I have 2 lesions in my brain. So I'm very similar to Bernardo's mom right now. And I'm probably going to try to figure out something similar to what Bernardo's doing as far as the protocol. I just wanted to summarize very quickly I would say the thrust of the protocol I'm going to follow. I'm just coming out of church. I'm thinking to myself, all the different treatments have to wipe out to try to deal with the CSCs, the circulating stem cells, and also the tumors or the lesions in the brain. They're all stem cells, you know. And when I was talking to the oncological doctor, most of their treatments, whether it's chemotherapy or fiber knife, you know, to get rid of those tumors, they really just deal with the I would call them like the mosquito cancers, the ones that proliferate,
Yeah.
but they're not wandering types, right? And the stem cells, the only type of modalities of treatment that seem to deal with them are the really strong pro-oxidant ones. And that would be, for us, so that it doesn't hurt us, it would be the IV vitamin C, high dose, you know, and also maybe Jason Watson's Lilliputians killing the giant Gulliver with the H2 gas, right? And ozone therapy and everything like that. But the only one that's really most affordable, if you can do it yourself and you do it frequently, maybe twice a week or more, where you totally just keep knocking off the CSCs, is the high V vitamin C.
Yeah.
You know, and I'm just surprised that people. I'm not a person of means. I don't have a lot of money, so I have to figure out a way to do it. And it looks like in America the IV bag is $30. The pharmaceutical grade ascorbic acid, 50 grams or more, it starts at $30. So it's actually doable for about $60, $70. But if you go to a place where they do vitamin drips like vitamin C, because it's associated with cancer, it's $700. So I'm bringing this up to you because I'm thinking, is this really the cure, or at least a great management tool, but nobody's doing it consistently because it's too cost prohibitive? And if that's the only reason, then the solution is actually not that complicated. You find a doctor, they'll give you the prescription, so you can acquire the pharmaceutical grade IV vitamin C stuff and all the tubes and stuff like that. You hire a doctor or a nurse or somebody who does a simple gravity drip, you know, and then you just do it a few times while it's being managed by a professional. And I know in America, firemen can do it, medical technicians can do it, nurse practitioners do it, and even people who just need, like athletes who need a vitamin boost can do it, and you can actually hire them to come. So I don't understand why it's not being done by most people regularly, and I actually don't even understand why you, Bernardo, are not doing it. Same with Stuart, you know, because I think that should be done not as a sole treatment, but it has to be like a fundamental.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
since most of the alternative treatments, I have to emphasize this, they're all pro-oxidant in nature, right? The ozone is pro-oxidant. IV vitamin C is pro-oxidant. Radiation therapy, it basically heats up the oxygen and water inside the tumor. That's sort of like a pro-oxidant thing. Hyperbaric chamber is pro-oxidant. And out of all of them, you know, you use ChatGPT 4. No, you use ChatGPT Deep, I think. I am using ChatGPT 4, and I found that I asked them for ranking for trying to slow down the growth or maybe eradicate's too strong, to really deal strongly against the CSCs. I asked ChatGPT to rank it, and the one that best crosses the blood-brain barrier is IV vitamin C, and then secondarily ivermectin, and then thirdly HBOT, right? So that means that if you can only do one, do the IV vitamin C. If you can do two, do the ivermectin. If you do three, do the hyperbaric chamber. Stack it, right? And that's what. And then the next job is to make it as effective as possible. So that's what we could do. I'm using an ivermectin from a compounding pharmacy. I was using the Ivertab 12 from IndiaMart, and I'm not sure whether it's potent or not, because when I used it and I still had this advance in the metastasis, I thought that maybe it's not pure or not potent enough. But when I crushed it and then I mixed it with fats, particularly MCT oil, then I got a fairly strong side effect of the typical blindness that you get, which shows that it's strong. So maybe it was legitimate, but I didn't make it bioavailable enough for me. And then of course for maybe my type of cancer, and I found out, I asked ChatGPT, what can prevent ivermectin, just ivermectin, from being as effective as it could be? And again, it listed down all these things. You might have storage, a lot of this stuff that could be dealt with or mitigated by supplementing or doing something with the ivermectin. Either something I'm not going to be doing. I'm not going to be doing an IV version of ivermectin. There's a liposomal version of ivermectin. There's so many things you can do with ivermectin so you can make it more bioavailable. But I think you end up going to becoming we're doing on our own, and we have to do the simplest what we can do that God could help us with. So I'm going to stick with pretty simple things, and then of course the what would you call the fundamentals of curcumin with bispirin and quercetin and ECGC and stuff like that. The things that, all the stuff that you guys know about, but some things that I think people haven't thought about doing regularly that I think is really smart, that we've brought up in our community, is the idea of stacking it is important. And then the idea of spreading it. Like I used to take the ivermectin, like 100 milligrams of it, all at one time. And maybe we didn't take into consideration it's got a half-life, right? So you want to have it so that it's spread throughout the day. Yeah. So it stays throughout the day. Mm-hmm. And then the other thing that most people don't think about, that again ChatGPT mentions, and some doctors will mention, is that sometimes you have to get off it a little bit. Like I did it 7 days a week. But if you do it 7 days a week, you give the cancer a chance to get used to it, right? It develops defenses, or it gets used to it, so it's not so effective. So you have to vary it, right? You have to deprive yourself fast. You have to, in a sense, fast from the multipurpose. Yeah. Just to mix up the cancer. Mm-hmm. Right?
Well, and I think that's one of the things that Seafried touches on. At least that's kind of what I got from listening to his videos and reading his papers, is he always talks about cycling through a ketogenic, calorie restricted diet. Now, obviously, you can't do that all the time. I do that when I was taking therapy. I did actually, and was able to fast the day before, day of, and day after chemo. Now my body fat percentage has come back up a little bit, but my weight is still a little bit low, so I don't necessarily do fasting. But on the days that I prepare for hyperbaric oxygen, I will do calorie restriction. And I understand calories aren't the be-all, end-all, but it helps me judge the volume of food. So for me, I typically eat somewhere between 1,800 and 2,400 calories per day. That's what my macros work out to when I'm eating 2 grams of fat to 1 gram of protein, which is about my threshold. If I go any higher than that, I have gastro issues. So I know that that's kind of what works for me. Mm-hmm. But prior to hyperbaric oxygen therapy, I will cut my calories by 50% or less, depending upon my body's needs. And I think the same is true with supplements. I've seen people do 3 weeks on, 1 week off. I've seen people do like I do with my Fenbendazole, and I've also started taking sodium phenylbutyrate.
Mm-hmm.
I couldn't get all my meds together at one time, so I just did what I could, and as I got access to the rest of it, added it in. But for example, the sodium phenylbutyrate, which is a glutamine inhibitor, possibly, the dosing for that is 3 days on, 30 days off. 3 days on. So
is that
I think,
is that a prescription?
yes, it is.
Sodium?
Yes.
How are you able to get all these prescription? Do you have an oncologist?
My oncologist won't write them. My PCP will.
Oh, I see. Yeah, that's
so I kind of actually had to bully my PCP.
Yeah, I wanted to mention something. That I noticed in the most recent YouTube productions of Siegfried's actual. He actually has a YouTube site, because right now I'm just so distracted by the fans of Siegfried. I mean, it's confusing everything, because you got older podcasts being mixed up with new podcasts. I mean, you do a search, you can't find Siegfried's most recent podcast, right? But I accidentally got into Dr. Siegfried's most recent podcast like a week ago. And then I went backwards just to see if there's anything I missed. And I found one of his assistants. He looks like a Eastern Bloc scientist with a man with long hair. And he made a point about something that I think Dr. Siegfried didn't emphasize enough. You know how they're always talking about GKI index of 2 and below, right? Which is when you can start hammering or start really weakening, if not killing, the cancer, either through, a hyperbaric chamber or all these varied pro-oxidant alternative treatments. So the gist of what I wanted to talk about is that you can actually have a GKI of 2 and below, which is the therapeutic level where you're supposed to be able to, kick the butt of the cancer, right? But this guy said that's a ratio. So you can actually have still glucose in your body, but if your ketone is at a much higher ratio, it's going to show a GKI of 2 and below. But what happens in effect is you still have leftover glucose that still feeds the cancer. See? So the most important thing is really getting rid of the glucose.
Yeah, I heard, I think it's Allison with Walking with Warburg. She said, she replied to one of the comments on her videos. She's at a point where she recognizes what's happening in her body, and she doesn't always check her ketones. She's more concerned about keeping the actual blood glucose low, because you're right. The glucose is what feeds the sugar. Now, I will tell you, as hard as I try, unless I'm fasting or severely restricting my calories, my metabolism does not allow me to live in a therapeutic state of ketosis. It used to be 3 and below, but now they've reformulated the matrix on Keto Mojo. I don't know if you guys have caught that, but now you have to be 2.9 or below to be in therapeutic ketosis. I'm lucky if I consistently am in 8 a GKI of 8 or 9, just at nutritional ketosis. Now, what that means for me is my average blood glucose is 87.
Yeah.
My average ketones. Now, I'm getting ready to be 61 years old. I'm not out, and this last month I haven't spent as much time exercising as I probably should have for a variety of reasons. But my ketones usually average anywhere from 0.5 to 1.9 or 2. And I supplement with exogenous ketones. So, again, I wouldn't let a GKI number stop me from implementing any of the other off-label pharmacy drugs or supplementation, because I think there's something that happens synergistically when you lower the glucose, you increase the ketones, and then you add your pharmaceuticals and your supplements.
So the point I was making, Kimberly, that I think Seafried, I don't want to say the word failed, but he didn't emphasize it enough, and it wasn't until that that fellow scientist of his pointed it out. You got to keep the sugar low. As long as there's sugar, glutamine can be made, cancer can be fed, and then the assassination protocols, the things that actually hammer down, to use Seafried's verb, the thing that'll hammer down the cancer won't happen because the cancer is still happily eating glucose and glutamine, right?
Well, I know.
And
I
then
know.
he's also saying that the ketones, if you take it exogenously when you still have sugar, it actually misleads you. It thinks that you're ready for the hammering, and you're still not ready. So here's a big point. If you're not ready for the hammering because the glucose is not absolutely low, that means all the money you're spending on IV vitamin C, all the money you're spending on HBOT, all the money you're spending on Pro-Oxidant, it's not going to be strong enough to kill the cancers that are still happily eating. So the whole point is,
here's my point. If I waited till all my numbers were perfect, I would probably be dead.
No, I agree with you. You got to do the best you can.
So don't let perfection be the enemy of good. And there is a lady, Miriam, I can't remember her last name. I could probably look it up. It starts with a K. She has specifically said that along the same lines that it's about the glucose, and you can't let one part of the therapy protocol keep you from doing all of it. And at the end of the day, I got news for us all. It doesn't matter how well you sleep, how much you exercise, how perfect your diet is. None of us are getting out of this alive. There's two things that, at least in America, we're assured of: death and taxes. If I had waited to do any part of metabolic therapy based on my understanding of what Seafried promoted, I would have never started. Because I've been tracking my glucose and ketones now since I think either August or September of 2023, and I have never lived in a consistent state of a GKI of 3 or below.
Did you say, Kimberly, that the new standard is actually below 2.0? The new numbers?
On my meter and on my app, it actually doesn't show therapeutic ketosis until you're below 2.9. So it used to be from 6 to 9 was nutritional ketosis, And then from 3 to 6 was moderate ketosis. And then from 1 to 2 or 2.9 is therapeutic.
Yeah, I thought Seafried always said it had to be 2.0 or less. Didn't you already say 2.0 or below?
When I first started looking and some of his older interviews, he used a GKI number of 3 or below. And now they're saying a GKI of 2 or below. I think if you can get there and you can live there, that's what you should do. It is still my goal, but I don't let it stop me. Yeah. I am not going to not take my supplements and my prescription medicine just because my GKI isn't below 2. To me, that negates the synergistic effect of it.
So we know that the mosquito type of cancers, the ones that proliferate fast, those are easy to kill, right? Yeah. The ones that are harder to kill are the stem cell cancers. You know the CTC, circulating tumor cancers, and then you have the circulating stem cell cancers. Those are the 2 types of animals of cancers, right? I call it the mosquito one and the wanderers, right? So it turns out that the tumor ones, the ones that are the mosquito, they quickly reproduce. Those are easier to kill. Chemotherapy, radiotherapy, a lot of the targeted therapies that the standard of care has, they do kill those. Apparently, they're proud of that, right? But when I ask my oncologist what actually kills the ones that are stubborn, the ones that wander, the answer is not so clear. Sometimes they say the immunotherapy drugs do it, the targeted therapy drugs do it, but I have to ask him again. I'm not sure. But I know in the alternative treatment world, ivermectin does mostly. They kill the stem cells, the cancer stem cells. The IV vitamin C does. Most of the pro-oxidant alternative treatments do that. So that's why we have to concentrate repeated action on those things. Yeah.
And I think you touched on that when you said the well, I already forgot the word. The repeated action. Right. So when you get to a metastatic condition or a stage 4 condition, I would even suspect that stage 1, very treatable, but especially at stage 4, it doesn't matter if you have no evidence of disease on a PET scan or if your circulating tumor markers are low or if your liquid blood biopsies are low. You should probably still be doing some form of metabolic therapy on a press pulse basis. That doesn't mean that you should continue to take chemo or radiation for the rest of your life. What I mean is you should still be on a low carb diet. You should be still be trying to cycle in and out of states of ketosis. And I usually go 2 or 3 days in a therapeutic state of ketosis, 2 or 3 days in a moderate level of ketosis, and some days just in your standard traditional nutritional level of ketosis. But I'm cycling in and out of that throughout the day. And then I take my off-label drugs and I exercise. So there's always some kind of press with diet and then some kind of pulse with the Fenbendazole, with the now the sodium phenylbutyrate, with the occasional fasting. How much fasting and how much of that you have to do probably depends upon your individual lifestyle. I guess my point is there'll always be some kind of cyclical treatment ongoing to keep things at bay. Because for whatever reason, we have a selected predisposition to have unmitigated cell growth.
Right.
And the things that we can do to create autophagy, and there are studies that seem to show that the longer that you can fat, 72 hours seems to be about the maximum benefit for autophagy and the creation of new healthy stem cells in your body. So I would never probably recommend that somebody do an extended fast unless they had a considerable amount of weight to lose and they were being monitored by a physician. I don't know any physicians in my area that are going to monitor me for a 14-day fast. I'm not in a position to do a 14-day fast anyway. I did look at vitamin C IV therapy, and I'm not opposed to it. I happened to get to NED before I could get it on board. There are some services, at least in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, that operate like concierge services. And they will come to your home and give you like a banana drip, which I can't remember. I can't remember what all's in it, but basically they can put together like a hangover cocktail.
Yeah.
And that's fairly reasonable. You can get that anywhere from $40 or $50, depending upon the ingredients in your drip. And I did consider sourcing just vitamin C from them, and doing that. And they would come to your house, and it's usually a nurse or a licensed med tech under the supervision of a doctor who's written them prescription for the IV drip. So that's one thing that I have. They have like Lone Star IV, Home IV Medics or something. The other thing that I wanted to say about, and I'm not taking melatonin now either. Like I said, I want something in my pocket in case I have to add to my regime.
Mm-hmm.
And plus, I know kind of what's working for me starting out. But since we're talking about the general topic today is sleep, it is very important, and you might mention to your mother as you look at adding things, that sleep and immune function go hand in hand. In fact, when I pulled some documents, I read this on like Science Tech or something, and it says sleep is crucial for maintaining a healthy immune system, which plays a key role in fighting cancer. Poor sleep can impair the function of the immune cells, such as T cells and natural killer cells, which are essential for detecting and attacking cancer. So, if one of melatonin's functions is to enhance sleep, and we know that sleep is crucial for the immune system, I would think that melatonin would affect the immune system by enhancing the quality of sleep. So that might be a selling point.
And the other selling point is it's very cheap.
Yes, and it is inexpensive to add to the regime. Hydrogen therapy, I haven't run out and bought a machine. Again, I'm in a good place right now. I think I need to.
Thanks be to God.
I need to hold my cards, keep doing what I'm doing, try to put on some weight, try to build some muscle.
Yeah.
Try to keep doing all the things that I can do, because my main goal, besides stay alive, and is to not take chemotherapy.
One of my jobs, my main job, I used to run a senior center. And whenever I've come up with something new, like for example, I found out statins were terrible for seniors, and all of them are walking like zombies. They don't know anything. I got a lot of the women out of the statins, and they all woke up. So the remaining years, it was awake, you know? So whenever I see something that can improve people's lives, I go ahead and implement it. For example, I have 2 stents in my widowmaker. You know, the widowmaker artery?
Yeah.
I should be dead since 2010.
Wow.
But I figured out that statins are bad, cholesterol is actually good, saturated fat's good. So when they check my carotid arteries, it's pretty clear. And I had AFib, right? And my doctors basically, I had 4 or 5 AFib attacks where I should have died, and now my EKG is normal, right? But for some reason, God is, with His permissive will, keeps allowing me to have a stroke and now cancer. And I'm like, okay, I was in a wheelchair, but now I'm sort of walking around. And I have cancer in my chest and in my brain, but I look healthy I look more healthy than average persons, right? So I'm trying to figure out, am I really sick? Sometimes I think Kaiser, that's our health plan, I think they're just doing something with my scans so they can put me in the standard of care, you know?
Yeah.
Because I'm strong. I'm trying to figure out what's going on, right?
Yeah.
So I'm actually a guy who's using, unlike Kimberly. Kimberly is, you know, thanks be to God that you have NED and you can pretty much stay the course. But for me, things are happening. You know, the ivermectin didn't work. Excuse me, the Fenbendazole and the Fenbendazole worked really well.
What was the dose that you were on ivermectin?
I was, well, first I started with Fenbendazole because of Joe Tippins, right?
Yeah.
And that kept my 3.1 centimeter lung cancer. It got smaller to 3 within 5 months. So I said to myself, this is pretty good. Okay. So I talked to a doctor who knew about all the antiparasiticals. So he said, you got to try everything. You got to hit it with all the antiparasiticals. So he told me to get on ivermectin. He told me to get on Flagyl, stay on Fenbendazole. I actually got Fenbendazole, right? So I tried all of these things, and I bought some of them from India Mart. And then I think I made a mistake of switching from the Merck Pancure Safeguard brand, you know, which is the old brand that Joe Tippin said you should stick with.
Yeah.
And what I did is I went to Amazon and I tried the Sonari Labs. And on the basis, I was questioning it, but on the basis of one third-party certification saying it's pure and potent, I just decided I don't want to be accused of using an animal veterinarian medicine, so I'm going to rely on the human-looking drug, right? So I relied on that, and then I bought these India things from some local guy who's selling it. So I thought it was good, and maybe it's good, but I guess I got lax, you know? I should have stuck with the brands. So the short of it, what I'm going to do is what I'm going to do what Stuart's doing, which is what William Mack is suggesting. You buy the animal brand, you buy the human brand, the Sonari, FenLab, whatever. You buy the Indian brand, and then you just alternate through all of them, and you hope one of them works.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
So I'm crossing my finger, but I've lost a lot of the support from my family, you know? And that's hard.
Yeah.
I've had to realize that, you know, I'm a very religious Catholic guy, and I realize we just have to soldier on. You know, we're church militant over here. This is not heaven, so we have to work as much as we can, and then God takes care of the rest. We put 50%, and He finishes the 50%, and His 50% is better than our 50%. So that's how I'm able to keep calm. You know, live in the presence of Jesus all the time. Because if you don't, you're going to think to yourself, Just like the reading today, you know, what is the victory of death? What is the sting of death? It's sin. But if you're not sinning, then you're ready. You're ready to be taken, you know? And I'm hoping, you know, and this is sort of, in a sense, making the mission, our mission of surviving, much bigger than just helping your mom or helping myself. It's the COVID shot really is just a matter of time before everybody gets cancer, right?
Yeah. Yes.
And I'm hoping that your site, our, you know, Kimberly's prudential contributions will leave a legacy of help for people who are just ignoring us.
Yes.
People are looking at us like, what are you doing? Are you crazy? What do you want to be, Dr. Frankenstein? You're doing it all yourself, right? And they don't know. TikTok, something might be. You know, the SB40 measles vaccine is in their system. The starfish venom, the snake venom, and God knows what else. You know about Joe Biden already promising before they. I don't know if you know the politics here, but months before he was they switched to Kamala Harris. Joe Biden promised. He said, if you elect me, just like Kennedy was able to send people to the moon, I promise you, we're going to have the vaccine for cancer in my administration. Now, how can he say that with so much confidence? And a month later, I found out that Pfizer and Moderna are colluding. They've joined forces and they've announced the cancer vaccine, which is supposed to be a variant of an ivermectin molecule. But they make it so that it's only good for 2 years, so that they can start another disease that they can come up with a fake cure for 2 years. And so goes on the crony capitalism and the corrupt capitalism, right?
You can't trust them. Yeah.
No. But see, our issue is, so I have a master's in philosophy. I'm not a scientist, but I think well, right? And I'm able to come up with creative brainstorming stuff. But it's so hard to get people to even look at any type of way of looking at things with certitude, other than what the pharmaceuticals decide is what's certain, right? So when you talk about ivermectin, William Mackes, he's trying so hard to come up with all these testimonials, and it's working, okay? Testimonials like that are working. So what does the swamp and the terrible people in the world do, right? They're hacking his site so that all his testimonials vaporize, are gone. All his money that he can use to resurrect his testimonials are also frozen, right? Because that's an epistemological, that's an argument, that's a debate that he's winning, and they can't stop him. So they have to stop the word out. You know, and it's, you know, so we're fighting against a lot of things, but I realized that I have to focus. So like I was trying to convince my relatives and everything like that, but now it's really just alone. We are the ones.
Yes.
We really, this little meeting of ours, you know, we're coming up with so many creative ways of doing these things. And Kimberly, with her very careful and prudential experience since 2010, is keeping me from flying off and just trying everything. So I thank you, Kimberly, from keeping me from just flying away, coming up with all these crazy things. But I also realized that you, Bernardo, and your ChatGPT, keep doing it, keep publishing it, and when I hear it, I'll ask it a different way. And like Kimberly said, it's not ChatGPT who's going to give us the answer. It's you and I brainstorming with it and coming up with the creative questions. Then what we do is we ask through the resources of Stuart, because he seems to be well connected and able to contact Peevler, right?
Yes. Yep.
That's how we're able to do this.
Correct.
Right? So the only thing that I have a little trouble in is Jason. Jason discouraged me a little bit with the metabolic therapy, but thank God he found this H2 monotherapy, and I am going to get it. It's only 2,500, and I'm going to regret. What's 2,500, right?
You have to try everything. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean
and
that's
like I
right.
said, I kind of wanted to be able to know what was working. So my goal at some point is to come off a bunch of these things and maybe just cycle through them occasionally.
Yeah.
But in order to do that, I mean, I don't want to be. I've seen some people's protocols. I don't know how they get all the pills swallowed in one day. They're taking like 40 or 50 supplements. I'm like, it's my personal decision. I don't know that I want to live like that, nor do I want to live. It's bad enough. I take 4 or 5 prescription drugs and probably 8 supplements.
Yeah.
And I find myself being scared. Oh my God, did I forget to put that in my pill bottle today? Because I have, I don't personally want to live with that. And
me too.
it's very hard when we get discouraging news to maintain hope or to not be angry. And I think I get real upset and real anxious before I'm due to have a PET scan. Every time, it doesn't matter how much I breathe or whether or not I partake in a drink. If you choose to believe that might be suitable on occasion, or if I meditate, or if I get outside in the sunshine, or if my GKI is particularly low, it doesn't change the physiological response in my body and that dread. And for me, operating from values, I always have to think about, and because of my faith, if this happens or when this happens, am I going to be sad? Am I going to be angry? How am I going to respond? And at the end of the day, I can be angry and I can be sad, but I can also choose to have joy and be grateful for the time that I have had. We're to March. I've got 5 more months till August, and I will have beat my range of prognosis, which was 6 months to 24 months. My husband said it was 6 months to 18 months. I thought it was 6 months to 18 to 24 months. So, I get to choose how I can respond. And, I pray for all of our groups. And as far as Jason goes, I can imagine it must be very disheartening to have put as much effort into a protocol and a therapy, and to know that it worked for a little while and it managed symptoms and progression for a little while, but ultimately isn't a cure. And that's one thing I think we need to remember when we talk about metabolic therapy. I don't know that Fried ever said it was a cure. He said it was a way to manage the disease. And because he said, is metabolic therapy a cure? I don't know. You'll have to live long enough and die from something else. And even then, there's no doctor in their right mind that is going to say you've been cured from cancer. They might use, they were in remission. We have disease stabilization. We have no evidence of disease on the PET scan. And that's what I asked my oncologist. What do I tell people? Because, I felt really bad. I told my kids. I told my close family. The doctor says I have 6 months to 24 months to live, and here I am. My doxycycline, I take 30 days on, 30 days off. And in April, I will have been doing that for a year. And in April, I would have been doing the Fenbendazole for a year. So I need to talk to the pharmacist and my primary care physician. And provided I stay NAD, I need to find out, can I back off on doing that? Maybe drop the doxycycline. I know Peevler has said that he's not a fan of using it, but it does have anti-tumor properties. I don't know. I'll just have to see. I don't want to stop things too soon, because I don't want to put myself back in a situation where we're promoting growth. But it's just trial and error, and the reason I'm hesitant not to add a bunch of things is I want to be able to be my own best experiment, and the least amount of things that I take, I can tell if they're working. And if, like, I just added NAC back, there's some contradictory studies on NAC, and is it...
People are against it, yeah.
Yeah. Does it enhance growth, or does it prohibit growth?
It's protective of cancer, supposedly.
Yeah.
Is it going to protect the cancer, or is it not? I'll tell you that... when I take NAC, it's protective of the liver, so it should help my body detox. It also is very effective for chronic fatigue, which is a symptom of Hashimoto's. And if I don't feel like getting out of bed,
you have to balance it out.
To balance it out. So right now I'm back on NAC, and I'll probably do that for probably 90 days, and then I'll take 90 days off. That's kind of the way I've been doing it. But before you guys try and look up for sleep enhancement, there's a breathing technique that I learned about. It's called whiskey breath, or whiskey breathing. There's actually three. There's water, coffee, and whiskey. And water breathing technique is really good for any time that you need to tip back into the parasympathetic nervous system. Whiskey to be used sparingly, or when you need to go to sleep. And then there's coffee. If you need to have some energy and you need a real quick pick-me-up, there's a coffee breathing technique. I thought that was pretty interesting. So you guys might want to look up whiskey breathing on YouTube and see if it enhances your sleep.
Nobody's ever mentioned what everybody's mentioning over here in America, that Ricksensum oil, which is THC cannabis. Joe Tippins used that too. Yeah. The THC cannabis stuff. Yeah. I mean, I'm not a what do you call this thing? Recreational drug guy. I'm one of those straight and narrow guys. I never touched that stuff up until recently, and it didn't have an effect on me as far as like getting me, what's the word, high. So there's no incentive other than as an anti-cancer treatment, but that's something that I don't hear a lot in our community. Yeah,
I think is it John Lackland that has posted that he uses some CBD.
Yes.
So he would be the expert that I would ask on that. I'm not opposed. I think there are a bunch of studies to back that up. I will tell you that when I got down to 116 pounds, I did ask for pharmaceutical component of CBD and THC. I did not like the way it affected me. Yeah. I couldn't figure out when to take the drug to induce the hunger portion of it. it didn't work. You know, I would wake up at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning, absolutely starving, but I don't want to eat at 2 or 3 o'clock in the morning. And so if I want it to make me hungry 12 hours later, then I have to get up at 2 o'clock in the morning and take the pill so I could be hungry at 2 o'clock in the afternoon. And that interrupts my sleep cycle. I was like, you know what, this isn't working. If I had a good herbalist and if I had somebody who could grow the specific cannabis that I needed for my specific strain of cancer, I'm not opposed to using it. But I think it's very important these days to know your sources, because if you don't know what you're smoking or where you're getting it from, it could end up being more deadly than the cancer that you're trying to fight. So make sure your dealer's your pharmacist is reputable.
Thank you, everybody.
Beautiful.
Thank you
very much.
And I look at you now as my friends. God brought us together. I mean, you know, I mean, this is forever.
It's forever. It's forever.
Forever, man.
And you know, if you guys need anything during the week, you can reach me on the Cancer Warrior site. Feel free to reach out, direct message. I check 2 or 3 times a day.
Oh, you're asking for trouble. We're gonna chat more.
You can always I don't always remember to check Discord, but I've got the app on my phone, so it should blink if somebody is on. So, yeah, the most important thing I think in our community is to remember that we're community. And if you're having a bad day, let somebody know. Don't have a bad day all by yourself.
That's right. I see Jesus in you guys.
Hug your mom for me, Bernardo. You guys take care. John, we'll talk to you later. I did send you a message in the Cancer Warrior group. Hopefully you'll get the contact information. You should have their website, their Facebook, and their phone number.
So I'm not a typical Californian. I'm still married after 39 years, and I have 7 kids.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
We'll talk to you guys later. You'll have to send us a picture of your grandkids or something.
Okay, I will. Bye, Kermit. God bless.